Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with another episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them with an electronic die roller to randomly select a topic, a who, and a what, and I mash them together, and then I draw that very thing, all for my entertainment and yours, because drawing is fun. That's what this is all about. Drawing is fun, and I invite you, as always, to draw along with me. You don't have to draw the same thing. You don't have to pick the topic that I'm drawing. But if you grab your own notebook or sketchbook or electronic drawing implement and just kind of doodle along, doodle whatever comes into your head. Doodle for the fun of it. Draw for the fun of it. I've often said that this the exercise that this show is based on is something that I will do in different ways just for fun. So the idea is to just randomly grab some ideas you hadn't thought of before and just do something with them. And you never know. Sometimes good stuff comes out of it. Sometimes. In fact, I'm sitting looking right over here to my left, and I've got two new stickers that have come in to the Stanplex here. And they are both based on drawings that I did right here on this very show. It's true. It's true. I mean, they're in little plastic bags, so I really can't show them to you right now. Maybe I'm just teasing you. Maybe they're not there. They are. They're right there. Hello, Michael. Glad you could make it. So, we're going to do what we usually do. I'm going to grab my Apple iPad Pro, and I'm going to use an Apple Pencil, and I'm going to use the app Procreate because these are the tools that I use for all of my professional and fun drawing these days. You know what? I still grab a ballpoint pen and doodle on paper too, but anything I'm doing that I really want to keep, I use these. This is not in any way sponsored by them or anyone else, but people often want to know what tools I use. So I tell you. Hello there, Christina. How are you? Glad you could make it. Do I see you? I see you. I see you. All right, so let's come on over here, and I'm going to come over to the die rolling app, and we're going to get a who and a what, and we're going to start drawing. So, as I always do, I'll roll the dice 3 times to make sure we get a kind of random, the randomness going. Once, a twice, a third time. 1. 1 is our first who, and a once, a twice, a third time. 4. 4 is our first what. So come back to the random encounter tables for the week. A who is a Drider. Drider, for those of you that are not fully D&D literate, is a kind of a half spider, half dark elf, drow elf. It's kind of like a centaur for the underground dark elves. So they're kind of creepy and fun. And 4 is a rodeo clown, a Drider rodeo clown. Okay, all right, got a lot we can do with that. So I'm going to come over here. I will turn off that image. Make sure we're on our sketch layer. I like to do my sketching in blue ink, as it were. I still use all of the language, all the physical language, despite the fact that almost everything I'm doing is electronic these days. No, Michael says, a side note about my other show. I have a show on Wednesday nights called 50 Years in the Dungeon. He says, I just finished watching the episode with Jeff D., who is a cartoonist who worked at TSR in the early days of Dungeons and Dragons. A great interview, very thought-provoking. Oh, thank you very much. He is one of my favorite artists, too. My sketching view isn't showing. Not yet, it's not. Thank you for reminding me. Usually I've turned that over by then. Yes, all right. didn't Stephen King did that in It? Becky asks, yes, in It he used a creature that was like that. I'm not sure that D&D is where um, this creature originates, but that's the version of it that we're doing here. And there's certainly other versions of it around. Okay, so yeah, so what we get is uh, a spider body like this with a humanoid top like that, and that's our Drider. Have some kind of markings on the back, but we've somehow got to make this a rodeo clown. Hello, Penny Firehorse. Thank you for joining in, for showing up. So I think one of the things it's going to have is a cowboy hat. Can't be a rodeo clown without a cowboy hat, and then we're going to have clown. That would, of course, need pointy ears because it's a drow. And drows have white hair, so we're going to have longish white hair. Now, the question is, now I've done this without any real thought to what the joke is going to be. So actually, I'm going to clear all that out because this does me no good. That was my quick sketch to show you what a drow was. Can I imagine Stephen King as a dungeon master? No. Well, yes, and I don't want to. I think he'd be a terrific dungeon master, and terrifying. All right, so we got barrels. Barrels are a big thing for rodeo clowns. I'm going to have the Drider up on the barrel like this. Maybe as a bull comes snorting by. And maybe he'll have his cowboy hat in his hand rather than on his head. Waving it around. Yeehaw! Olay, Toro. There we go. This is my idea. I don't know if you can see what's going on there. It's one of the things about drawing is once I start putting lines down, I'm seeing the detailed what it's going to become in my head, and that doesn't always mean that other people looking at it are going to understand, but I've got it. Okay, so then we're going to have to come here, the whole thing. I want to blow the whole thing up a bit so that it takes up more space on the page. I do these at a pretty small size, these square palettes. And it doesn't really matter because it's all electronic, but in terms of memory and detail, how much detail can be put on, or how much detail shows up. So these are basically 4x4 squares. I don't like thinking in pixels. I still like thinking in inches, and so these lines, you can think about them, are about the size that you would get from a regular pencil or a slightly thicker, say a thin-lined, what's it called, felt marker. When I press hard, it's probably like a thinner felt marker. All right, so there we go. I got to come back here again. And get the loose things. I think we'll give him a vest. That seems cowboy rodeo-ish. Just need to put those lines a little darker so I can see them more easily. And other than that, I think we're ready to start doing some drawing. So I'll come up to the lines layer and switch that over. There's a bunch of stuff going on in chat. I love doing this show and I love interacting with you fine folks. But the thing, the thing that I always get is I look up like, oh, I want to see what you're talking about. But if I do, then nothing's happening with the drawing, and that's where the show is. So I'll hopefully there will be time for. There's nothing that you're asking questions of that I won't be able to handle later. All right, now I am starting with lines that I am confident of. Weirdly, it's not even the whole shape of the face; it's the clown part of the face. And then I want to come here. I'm going to draw, not so sure about that. No, I don't like that. And this is one of the nice things about drawing digitally is if I was doing this as a sketch on paper, I could just live with those lines that I drew. But since it's digital, I don't have to. I can just come back and switch it out. Here we go. Hootin' and a hollerin' and a whoopin' and a squawkin'. Now, I've done Driders before, and I think that some of you may remember that. I've done Drider as a who on this show before. And the last time I did, someone was pointing out that I got some of the spidery anatomy wrong, in that I had the legs coming out of the spinneret section, and I hadn't given a separate kind of thorax middle section where the legs would come out in a spider. And I did both the usual thing that a cartoonist will do when caught in a mistake, a factual error, and say, well, it's a cartoon, it doesn't really matter. And also, I made a note of it for the next time I did it to try to remember to maybe get it right next time. And I think that that's actually a good lesson for everyone in all different kinds of fields, not just artistic. First of all, it doesn't really matter. Right? You can always redo it. It was a quick, fun cartoon, and it didn't matter. But I also took that opportunity to file it away and try and do better next time. If that's what happens in our lives, if we every time we make a mistake, we file it away and we try and do better next time, that's not a terrible way to lead a life. Look at me getting all philosophical. All right, and now we're going to come over here and do the bull. One of the things I was talking about last week, I think, uh, I've been noticing that uh, I've gotten, I have a lot of fun with this show. In case you hadn't noticed, I have a lot of fun doing this, and sometimes I kind of forget that the goal is to do these really quickly and to move on, and that means that the show has been running a little longer than it used to. None of that matters. It's online, and people can watch as long or as little as they like. But my goal, and remember that my goal is to keep this short so that it's more entertaining that way. It's easier for new people to look at and say, I want to give that a try. And, you know, and I'm kind of mindful of your evenings. I know you wouldn't stick around if you weren't having fun, but you know. Why does that? Oh, I know why that keeps happening. Okay, so there's our bull. Not the best bull I've ever drawn, but not the worst either. And our bull is zipping by at high speed. We'll put some dust that he's raising in the background. And our Drider can maybe just be yelling Olay. Tell you what I would like to do. I'm going to take this leg that I've got sticking out like that, and I'm going to actually make it sticking out here. Kind of, again, to give it the woo-hoos, jumping out of the way. Look. All right, I'm going to turn off the sketch layer and see what we've got here. Basically good. I want to add some extra lines, some extra details to clear things up. A lot of comments going on down there. I love it. I love it. Can't wait to look up and see what you're saying. Hopefully it's not something mean. All right, I know it's not something mean. Hopefully I haven't screwed something up. There, let me put it that way. Now I'm adding a few extra details. I know this is very likely to come up again later, but I'll bring it up now as I'm thinking about it. It's not important to get all these details right. I say this a lot too. It's not important that you get the details right. It's important that nothing that you put on there looks wrong and draws the eye as being wrong. I don't think that's the best bull head I've ever done, but I also don't think there's anything on it that draws the eye and makes you think, oh no, that's not a bull. In fact, all the other clues make you willing to say, must be a bull. There we go. Now I want to maybe finish up that arm a little bit. Okay, Rodeo Clown Drow is looking good in the line art department. So it's time to put some color in this. So I'll go to my colors layer. I will switch over to my gloaming brush. This is a built-in brush on the Procreate app. Excuse me, I'm going to take a little sip of my drink. Um, and I went in and just tried to do something I couldn't do because I was on the wrong layer using the wrong brush. So this is the brush that I use to get the kind of markery, crayony effect. So let's see, where should I start color-wise? Let's start with the spider part, which is going to, it's like a Black Widow-ish spider is what drows usually have, or driders usually have. So we'll come in, and I will put some color there. Now I like to use this kind of shape within a shape coloring style. That's difficult to do in the case of something like that spinneret in the back because other shapes are in front of it, and it kind of makes it hard to work with the shape that's underneath. Come here with a lighter gray for the underbelly. I don't think spiders actually have underbellies, but fantasy spiders often do. I'm going to grab a red for the markings on the back. Again, Black Widow-ish. I want a slightly different color for the legs. I want them to stand out. As being of a different substance than the body, different texture. Very, very similar. There we go. Now, that's the spider part of it. The drow, the humanoid part is a drow, a dark elf, an underground elf. And one of the things that's come up in my 50 years in the dungeon show is the question of what color a drow's skin is one that has had a history of controversy attached to it over the years. Sometimes they are depicted as having dark charcoal black skin. Sometimes they're depicted with a purplish or a gray, ashy gray skin. I like the purplish kind. That's the version of drow that has always appealed to me. So that's what I do in my drawings. There was a period where some of the artists, because they were described as dark-skinned, used African American models as their models. There's probably a better way for me to have said that. African American models for their reference, and that was controversial because drows are in the game evil without exception, evil, and they're monsters. They're not people. At least they certainly were in the early days of the game. And so there was some controversy about that. And the only because all of the art that was done for the game, I hesitate to say all because there are exceptions, and people would rightly call me out on that. Much and most of the art that was done for the game featured Caucasian, European style characters. So the only people of color were monstrous and evil. Again, the game defined them as evil, period. That just by their very nature. And so there was understandably controversy about that. And the company made a point of not using that interpretation anymore, which, of course, was the right decision. But it doesn't change the fact that there are still products out there which remain available and collectible and popular with the public that have those drawings. And I've even used some of them for drawings on my other show that Michael so kindly mentioned earlier. Alright, so now we're going to get over to the bowl, and you're going to get a better view of my shape within a shape style of coloring this. I don't know. You know what? I wonder if I'm going to make the brush a little bigger because now we've got a large section. I wonder how well you're able to see the shapes I'm working with within the shapes. I bet the longer you watch this, the more often you come back and watch me do this, the easier it is to start seeing by how I'm laying down the colors. You're beginning to see the shapes I'm talking about. And maybe you're beginning to be able to see them before I put them down. In fact, if I were you, and I was looking to learn more about this style of doing something, that's something I'd practice. Just kind of looking at my drawings as I'm working on them and trying to figure out what shapes within those shapes. What are the shapes I'm going to see? What are the shapes I'm going to be coloring to? And then seeing if you're right. And if you've seen a different shape, that doesn't mean you're wrong, right? This is artistic fun. Everyone's got their own version of it, and maybe your version would be just as good or better. I don't have any trouble believing that. All right, so there's our bowl charging. Our barrel, I think, is going to be orange. The safety barrels. They might be yellow, they might be red. I haven't been to a lot of rodeos, but this isn't my first rodeo, as it were. I think we'll make orange with a stripe of red on them. And what else? I want to get a little ground color so I can. Now, in a drawing here, here's, I guess, another little tip. In a drawing where I'm not actually drawing the color of the ground, I can use that as the shadow color. Like the idea I'm trying to get there is that the bull and the barrel are casting a shadow where they're above the ground. And I'm not using a dark shadow color. I'm using the actual color of the ground because I'm not coloring in the ground. I'm not coloring in that background at all. All right, looking good. I'm going to now add a little bit of shading like I sometimes do. Come on. And that's not nice. I'll grab that color there, dark version, and I want a darker version of it. So I can create a little bit of shadow there on that far side. I want to come to the drow and do the same thing here with the spinneret and the thorax. I want to do the same thing to my drow. Like that. And maybe the hat. Look at the hat. Like that. Oh, and if I'm going to do all those, the bowl certainly needs it also. It's a little more difficult because there's so many shapes on the bowl. You want to do this highlighting on the underside of not just the outline of the bowl, but all the shapes that you're working with inside it. That's why this has the effect of making the whole thing seem a little more textured and three-dimensional. Okay. Alright, I like that. So let's come back and go to the inking brush and our lines layer. And I can come over here. Oops. And I can use the black ink and add a stan to it. And we've got a Drider rodeo clown. Let's add a few more little movement lines to show that the things are moving. All right. Drider rodeo clown. First drawing, done. And now I get to see what everyone's been talking about. Scroll back up. I saw the Jeff D comment, so I can start around there. Sketch View wasn't showing. Can I imagine Stephen King? Oh, Dave Lemon says MMH is not a bad DM, which is an in-joke with Dave and I have been friends quite a long time. And we have gamed together for quite a long time. And in the city of Binghamton, New York, where we first met, we had a friend whose name was Stephen King, and so we gave him the nickname of MMH for Master of Modern Horror. And he was a good DM, but I'm pretty sure that's not the Stephen King that Becky was talking about. Michael says, I learned what role the clowns play in the rodeo. They're brightly colored. Yeah, they're there to distract the bulls from rodeo competitors who may have fallen down or fallen off the bulls. And the rodeo clowns are there to grab their attention and pull them away. It's a dangerous job that this Drider seems to be doing pretty well. I'm looking at his and I can see a problem. I should have noticed that earlier. Here's a drawing lesson. I'm not going to fix it, but I am going to point it out. I often talk about tangents, how you don't want lines to be touching each other, or even if they appear to be touching each other, because that will confuse the eye. And I have that going on right here with the Drider's leg, and the bull's back, where the bull's back is curving over here, and the Drider's leg is going up over there, and they're in almost the exact same spot. So they kind of combine there, and I think that the Drider's leg is mostly lost, and it's losing on its own. I think that provided a pretty good in the sketch. I think that provided a pretty good sense of helping to increase the feeling that the Drider was off balance. But with the bull's back, with that tangent with the bull's back, it lost that, and in fact, it kind of disappears into the drawing a little. Oh well, the things you learn. Ravenlore, hey, thank you for dropping in. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Is it to chat or not to chat? That is the question. Nicholas Blanchard, welcome. Said it came in late. What am I drawing? I was drawing a Drider as a rodeo clown, but you probably knew that by now. Just answering you directly. And Dave answered for me. Thank you, Dave. How kind of you. I love your creation. Oh, thank you, Penny. Penny also a terrific artist who does. She's not a cartoonist, but she does really beautiful paintings and color board drawings that and other things that kind of border the craft and art world. Penny and I are in the same freelancers get-together group. So thank you, Penny. I appreciate that. How do you stop a bull from charging? Take away its credit card. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave, for the dad joke. Drow are midnight blue to me, says Michael. Yeah, see, there's so many correct answers to that. And I think like so many of the things I'm saying, the only thing that's really wrong is a bad answer, and that was the African American interpretation that I was talking about before. That's the only one that I stand up and go, no. If you want your drows to be midnight blue, and you want yours to be charcoal gray, and I want mine to be purple, it's a fantasy world. When I'm running the game, that's what I see. And the other beautiful thing about tabletop role-playing games is, for the most part, with the exception of things like placement on maps and things that have some kind of tactical rules implementation, you can picture it however you want in your head. Everyone at a table, everyone playing the game, can be seeing something slightly different. Got a Drider. You could be seeing him with midnight blue skin, and I could be seeing him with purple skin, and the DM could be seeing him with the charcoal black skin. And the game just rolls on, and we all have exactly what we want in our heads. One of the things that constantly amazes me about tabletop role playing. Dave says they don't have. Oh, talking about the spiders, I'm sure they don't have underbellies on their abdomen, but that's where their trachea and lung openings are. Dave, I sometimes wonder how you know so much of this, but I'm going to accept that you are correct. So many Steves. Yes, so many Steves. So many. Hello, Dale. Welcome. Thank you for joining in. All right. Caught up with the chat. I finished the first drawing. I've had another sip of my lovely drink. So it's time to go back and start it all over again. I'm going to turn off round 1, turn on round 2, turn on our encounters tables, and go back to the dice one more time. Here we go. Once, twice, a third time, and 4 is our first who. Seeing repeated numbers again. Once, twice, a third time. 4, no, come on, one more. 4, lots of 4s tonight. 2, I don't like all those fours. Four and two. Four is a carnivorous plant, and two is a water slide. I mean, I suppose I could have come and given you guys a chance. Maybe I'll do that for the third. Start thinking about for the third option what you might like to see, because I've broken my own rules and just let the dice keep rolling. Got to run, Penny? That's all right. Thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. And I'll see you at Fandango sometime soon. So we got a carnivorous plant and a water slide. It's interesting. Okay. Turn that off. We're going to come back to the blue lines for sketching. And studio pen. Good. All set. So carnivorous, the plant at the bottom of the slide open to receiving the sliders. That's a good idea. Like a pitcher plant. I don't know what a pitcher plant is. In my head, I'm thinking like the Little Shop of Horrors Venus flytrap-ish. I mean, it's the Little Shop of Horrors bulbous plant with a big mouth. The Audrey 2. So we're going to have a water slide coming down like that. Right? Water slide coming in. Water down here. Now make that a little smaller and move it over because I don't have any room for a plant down here. And we can have someone coming down and in the air off the slide. And seeing the trouble they're in. Maybe we'll have someone else coming down the slide here. And seeing it, there we go. Like how that's looking. I don't know how well you can see that. Okay. Looking good. Let's get some drawing done. I'm going to start. I'm going to start with our person coming off the slide. Go. And I've got shorts on. Off the slide at high velocity. All right there. And I guess I'll need to get the slide in there somewhere. Do, 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 do. Go. Want to show the water coming down the slide like that. And our person's coming off like you do, building up speed, and unfortunately finding a big old carnivorous plant. Feed me. I suppose I could just have the plant saying something like feed me, Seymour," which is kind of spot on um, for big trouble for Little Shop of Horrors, but not necessarily. There may be another joke in there. What do you guys think? Think of another thing for the plant or someone else in the uh, the scene to be saying, the person that's about to get eaten, or the person on the slide, or maybe just a caption that would go with this. I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to draw some water lilies here around our carnivorous plant. And let's quick come back and put our third person or third character in here. For some reason I made her an elf, so we'll keep her an elf. And again, I'll do the same thing. Just a little bit of sloshing water here. I told you that wasn't a water lily. That's a good one. There we go, Becky. Surprise, see more. Ha ha. Ho ho ho. Heh, no. see now, so I'm going to have this guy saying, I told you. Those weren't just water lilies. Take advantage again of the fact that this program lets me automatically snap a pretty accurate even circle. You know, I told no that you know what that wasn't that stem was not really, it wasn't clear where that was going. It could have been, with it coming off the way it had, it could have been going at him, but it also could have been read as going at the plant, which would not have been funny. All right, there we go. Turn off our sketch layer and see what we've got. I think I want this guy to have some more speed lines coming after him. Okay. So we'll go to the colors layer, turn back on that gloaming brush, and start adding in some colors. Give him orange reddish hair. And a green bathing suit. Green? Blue? Well, the water's going to be blue. Maybe green. And then we're going to give her a red bathing suit. I don't know why. I just decided we were. It's the kind of things you need to do when you're doing this. Don't overthink it. What color is it going to be? Make it that color. If it doesn't work, change it. Give her blondish hair, golden blondish hair. I guess it's more of a hay colored hair. Same thing. All right, now I want a. I'm thinking about the pool, the water slide equipment I've seen. It's usually this blue, which is not water blue, but I think that they make them that way because it's so near the water that they want the water to have a blue color. So now for the water, I don't want them to get too dark. Probably. Now the water that's standing down here is going to be a slightly different color. Nope. I was going to make it a different color, but I really was clashing with what we had going on. As I say before, as I say often, it's not important that you get it right. It's important that it not look wrong, and that was looking wrong. Oh, you know what? I don't want to drop that back. It's already clear that color I picked was too dark. But I don't want to have to... I kind of like the color I've given myself a problem here. I've given myself a problem. I want to be able to drop the color of that water back a bit, but I don't want to drop every other color. So what can I do? How can I make that happen? I know the answer. I'm pausing for effect. How I can make that happen is this. I'm going to grab the lasso tool, and I'm on the color layer. So I'm going to grab I'm going to grab the lasso tool and just grab our characters one at a time. We grab the character, and I'm going to cut and paste. And what that does, as you look over here, is she now has her own, this thing here that says from selection. You can see it. From selection. She's now on that layer, where she had been previously on the color layer with everything else. So, I'm going to do the same thing for him. I'm going to grab him, try not to get any of those other colors around him, just his colors. Like that, same thing. I'm going to cut and paste. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. I'm going to cut and paste. And once again, we'll see he is now on a from selection layer of his own. And I'm going to merge them. And that from selection layer is now the layer that I'm going to do the plants coloring on also. But that original colors layer, I can now go back to it, and I can drop the opacity and change the color of that water without affecting the color of the people. See that? They stay nice and dark no matter how I drop that. So before it's all over, I'm going to do that. But I want to draw the plant first. I thought about making the plant purple. I'm going with more of a cyan, more of a pinkish color. And then we'll, of course, use a dark vegetative green for the vine sections, the plant body. A little red for the inside of the mouth, just so that stands out. And there we go. Now, on this layer, I will do a little bit of shading, like I do. Not a lot. There's not a lot going on here. The plant was the one that needed it most. Ew. I can't believe I just did that. I thought that undo that. That's no good. I thought that I had done the plant coloring on that other layer, but I didn't. I did it on the layer with the water, like a fool. Which means I have to do the same thing again. And grab just the plant. and cut and paste and put it together with them. So now all three of our characters are on one layer and the water is on a different layer. All right. Got to pay attention. If I teach you nothing else in all my mistakes, is you got to pay attention when you're doing these drawings. Particularly, I mean, that's a beautiful thing about the digital is all of the nice things you can do with switching it around and making fixes easily. The bad thing you can do if you're not paying attention to your layers is really just mess the whole thing up so that it's even more difficult to fix than if it were a physical drawing. All right, add that on. Nope, that's a little darker than that, please. There we go, there we go, there we go. Looking good. All right, and then I will come back to our water layer and drop that. I think that's a good shade there. And, oh, tell you what, I want to color the lilies also. But I think we're there. Go back to my inking brush on my lines layer. And put a stand on it because we have a carnivorous plant at the water slides. Boop 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 boop. Hoo hoo hoo! Take time for a little break. I said, son, I want a sip of my soda, son. The slide should probably have been leaves, says Dave. Yeah, you know, as I look at this, if I were to try and do this in a more completed fashion, in which case I would be much more careful with all that, yes, I think that we could have made this into a very elven kind of water slidey thing, where the slides are made out of leaves and vines, and the whole thing has a natural water slide feel to it. We also could have completely redo the gag again, with their just kind of going down some natural water slides over a not particularly steep waterfall. That would be fun too. Yeah. But, again, for a 25-minute quick sketchy thing, I'm thumbs up about it. And I thank you all for being part of it. So let me get one more sip, and then we'll go back. Pick us up another subject, and draw that too. And then we can call it an evening. So let's close that out. Turn off round 2. Turn on round 3. Turn on our tables. And we're going to once more unto the breach, as it were. All right, here we go. Once and twice, a third time, and 6, which we know is adventurers. Adventurers are 6. 6 and once or twice, a third time, 4. Keep coming up with a 4. No 4. 3. All right, but I also told you guys to get ready, so I will leave it open for your suggestions here. 3 is golfing, or 6 is sign painting. Or we can do something else entirely that you guys think of and tell me. Up to you. It can be adventures, or if you want me to just take the sign painting or golfing, then you can pick the who. Who is sign painting or golfing? Who would you like to see swinging a golf club or painting some kind of sign? Sign painting. I think that's a. I think it's a good choice for a random table like this. I somehow doubt that leaving it up to audience suggestion that sign painter is going to be the winner. I could be wrong, but it doesn't have that cachet. It's a obscure. It's a weird kind of completely neutral kind of job. Golfing, says Ravenlow. Yes, okay, golfing. So who is golfing? Who's golfing? It can be one of the Who's off here. It can be another Who. It could be something that's not even a D&D character. I want to do, and like see, we've got Spider-Man and the Cat in the Hat, and Cthulhu is on the bonus board right now. But it doesn't have to be those either. Who's golfing? Golfing is our selection. Who? Who is golfing? I I am a dancer. Who's golfing? Garden gnome. A garden gnome golfing. That's funny. That's funny. I'm gonna wait a second, see if anyone else types something else in. Garden gnome has legs, as it were. All right. So I'm gonna turn on the blue sketchy thing here. Mini golf course is left side. Yeah. So weirdly, uh, uh, all right. Here we go. I got it. I got it. I even have the gag. Probably have to make them a little smaller for this to work. I have to think about the golf. So as it turns out, I I do golf, or not not well, but I golf. So the weird thing is that I need to think about which hand's going to go over and which hand's going to go under. And the weird thing about it is that I'm a lefty when I golf. I'm I'm drawn with my right hand, but I'm a lefty when I golf, which means that everything that I think of naturally is the wrong way around to righties, to most golfers. All right, got it, got it. Ha ha! Ha 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 ha! Lefty on purpose or just didn't know any better. So, I have a theory that um, naturally, I'm kind of ambidextrous. I do different. I'm a switch hitter in baseball. Uh, I shoot anything that's like golfing or batting. I bat. Although I'm a switch hitter, I'm more naturally a left-handed hitter in baseball. And when I used to play street hockey, I shoot left-handed. Um, but when I played goal right-handed. But I have a theory about that, and that is that this is getting more sporty than most people care. But the natural movement for doing these things is you should be using your front arm to create the power when you're batting or golfing, or maybe less so when you're shooting a hockey shot. Um, Kind of like a backhand in tennis. That's what you should be doing. And when you switch it around, if you're a righty, your front arm is your left hand. So really, you're fighting the urge to that backhand to take over, which is makes things more difficult. I think that right-handed people should do what is considered a left-handed golf shot or baseball batting if left to their own devices, except they're taught to do it a certain way, and the teachings have right-handed being the other way around. Anyway, that's my theory. Most right-handed people just kind of scoff at that theory. But I know a fair number of people um, who function that way, who have they are right-handed in most things, but in batting or golfing, they are left-handed. Don't know where that came from, but here we go. Sorry, got quiet there for a second. I was having so much fun drawing the gnome that I forgot I needed to talk. we've got our gnomes there. Now, I don't know if you figured out what I was doing here with the rest of the sketchiness, but we've got the hole going off here and dog legging left. Have some trees and shrubs on the side. And coming back, dog legging left, and then going right again, and then all the way down here, we're going to have a little green that he's shooting for, which, as we see over here, is 580 yards away, which is a really big distance for a little gnome. And the gag is going to be maybe we should I'm going to put the should on the top line. Maybe we should just stick to mini golf. Maybe we should just stick to mini golf. Alright, so now let's turn off the sketch layer. See what we've got here. I probably want to add a little more detail. I knew that I had left a lot out on the gnome. We don't need a lot, but just a little more will be nice. No. Nope. I thought about making him, give him more of a nostril on the nose, but I think he looks cuter with the little, just a little bubble nose. All right, let's do some colors on this. I'm going to switch to our gloaming brush once again. Come in. Red hats, because that's what gnomes have. Garden gnomes, anyway, right? Guess one will have red, the other will have blue. Seem to recall seeing garden gnomes with blue hats. Go. Color-wise, and just start throwing some colors in here in no particular order. The wood, although those usually have aluminum colors these days. Give this guy blue pants. Give this guy a red shirt. A lot of times I like to use, and I haven't said this in a while, I like to use the same colors for as much as possible once I'm starting to put a drawing like this together. That comes from having worked in things like printing and where in things where I had to pay per color. So you want to find if you're going to add a color, you want to have multiple uses for it. Maybe tan color for the shirt there. And then a purplish color for the bag. I don't know why, just seemed right to me. Need that's too blue. Need a blue-ish color, a blue-gray color for the clubs that are in the bag and the shaft of this. Club, darker there. There we go. And, of course, this is a sign, so we're going to have to color that. And now, of course, we're going to have some color for the golf course itself. The fairway will be a light green. The rough will be a dark green. The trees will be a different green. Suppose if I really wanted to make this, really want to be mean to this gnome, I have some kind of water trap or sand traps out there. But that's a lot more detail than this drawing needs. I'm going to come back. I want an even lighter version of the fairway color for our tee box. And an even darker version of this color for next to the tee box. There we go. Oh, I went right over his nose. Thank goodness this is a digital drawing, and I could just erase it and put it back. What? I want to grab that dark purple. No, even darker than that. For the strap. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. I don't actually think we need to do... The only things that look like they could use shading are the hats, and I think that by adding the shading on there, here's another the thought you sometimes have to have. If I add shading to the hats, it will suddenly call out for shading to be everywhere else, and nothing else there really needs it. So I think I'll just leave it without the shading this time. And I can come back to my inking layer and put my stand in the corner, because we have Garden Gnomes Golfing. Maybe we should just stick to mini golf. The only thing I'm looking at here, I look at it, and I think that I made that sign too dark. The brown on the sign a little too dark. It draws too much attention to itself and makes it too hard to read what's on there. I want that for sure to stand out, because that's part of selling the joke. Probably even lighter than that. They look up, and it's 580 yards. They're tiny little gnomes. There we go. That's good. Garden Gnomes Golfing. Let's see. I'm going to look down here and see what's going on here. The Thrive Queen had been suggested. He's killed a hippie. Oh, man. Lefty, okay, read that. Lefty on Purpose. We've talked about that. Same thing about drumming, actually. Yeah, it's a lot of places where you want, if you're right-handed, you want that right hand to take the strong position, but the typically right-handed version puts it in the weak position. And I guess, I suppose that makes sense. You put it there so that it can provide strength in that weaker position and shore it up. But, it doesn't make any sense to me. They should use the ladies' tees. Hey, now. Deep question. Do I think cartoon artistically because I have a punny, dissonant mindset, or vice versa, or what? Interesting question. I don't know. I never really. I would guess probably the first, right? I think that it goes with my mindset. I never really wanted to learn to spend the time learning to draw realistically. It always, I love capturing things quickly, even when it's not funny, cartoony. My very, very favorite caricaturist is Al Hirschfeld, who's got a very cartoony, simple lines. I love capturing images, capturing characters' emotions in a few lines. I'm fascinated by it. And there are some of my pieces and some of my influences are people that do that, and it's not a cartoon. It's not funny, haha cartoon, but it is simplified to the point that it feels cartoony. Yeah. So there's a short answer to an interesting question. I would not mind talking about that more, preferably when I had someone that I was talking to share the conversation with, rather than doing a monologue for you. It's not that you type in a chat and I'm happy to respond to that, but it's not. I think it would be a more fun conversation. I would probably get to more interesting points if I had someone that was I was bouncing the conversation back and forth with. But that's the simple version of it. So, love counting Ninas. Yeah, I still love counting Ninas in old Hirschfelds. I've got, of all the art, I don't know, yeah, you can't really see, all the art books on my shelf here, this is where I keep most of my art reference stuff. By far, the most numerously represented person there is Hirschfeld. I've got, I think 9 or 10 different Hirschfeld books. Love that guy. And I've got some good Hirschfeld stories, too. But I'm not going to tell them today. We'll have to save it for another day. Because now, it's time for me to have a little sip and do a little wrap-up. You have been watching Random Encounters. It's my sumo show closing. Yes, it's been another fine episode of Random Encounters here. We did 3 fun cartoons. We had a nice conversation in the chat. The final cartoon we did, of course, was Gnomes Golfing. The one before that was a carnivorous plant at a water slide. And the first one was a Drider as a rodeo clown. That's a fun evening. That's a good evening of drawing for anyone. I hope that you. Thank you to everyone who came into the chat. Thank you to Becky and to Michael and to Dave Lemon and to Ravenlore and who else was here? Dale was here for a while. May still be here. I don't know. Michael was here. Penny was here. Had to leave early. Thank you all. Thank you everyone for coming by. It really means a lot to have you hanging out with me. I enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I enjoy spending the time with you. I'm going to pull off this and back to just me. I'm here most Thursday evenings doing live improv cartooning. I hope that you, if you're watching this on replay, can join me and will join me. And I hope when you do join me, you bring some pencil and paper or whatever you like to draw with, and you do some drawing too. Because, let me hear it, everyone, drawing is fun. So until next week, I will say thank you very much,